We've all got our favourite go-to art materials. For some people, they like to draw with graphite pencils, others prefer pen and ink, and for you, maybe it's a colour medium like coloured pencils or watercolours. And if you're like most artists, you've probably experimented with at least a few of these drawing and painting materials. But what about combining two different mediums into one piece of art? It's a great way to mix things up, to get creative, and who knows, maybe you'll find a style that takes your art into a new direction. In this video, I'm going to take you through 6 different combinations of mixed media that are well worth you having a try with, along with their pros and cons. As I take you through these different combinations, I'm going to be doing a series of really simple, really quick tree studies in my sketchbook. Now the sketchbook page actually turned out looking quite nice, and this was a really simple but really enjoyable little project to complete, and it took me no longer than about an hour. So if you'd like to have a go with this one as well, and you want to do these tree studies in your sketchbook, what I'll do is post a link in the description below where you can go and download all the reference photographs that I work from, as well as seeing the full materials list. Alright, so the first mixed media combination is a very common one, very popular. If you haven't used it, you've almost certainly heard of it. But bear with me, because I'm going to give you a second option that you're less likely to have tried, and that is one of my favourite ways to sketch. So the first combination is watercolour and pen, also known as pen and wash, and it works great for both quicker sketches and also for more detailed, more refined pieces of art, like this portrait, for example. Watercolours, in my opinion, out of all the traditional drawing and painting mediums, is the most difficult because it's the most unpredictable, most unwieldy, definitely requires a bit of practice, but as soon as you combine it with pen and ink work, it becomes so much more forgiving. You know, those runbacks, the cauliflowers or watery blooms, the tide marks that are the curse of every watercolourist, you can almost embrace them. They look like a deliberate part of the sketch. You've got a couple of options with pen and watercolour, and the one that most people opt for is to draw their outline with the pen first, maybe add a little bit of hatching work, and then apply colour washes over the top. This is what you see urban sketchers do most of the time. They'll draw out with their pen quite quickly, quite loosely, and then add a splash of colour over the top, and it looks really nice. The other option, and the one that I really want you to consider having a go at, is to start with your watercolour washes and almost draw with your paintbrush. So you don't even do a pencil drawing, you draw with your paintbrush, and then you make sense of those washes, pull them all together with pen work over the top. And this is probably my favourite way to sketch. And the reason for that is that it's so satisfying. You can take what looks like a really ugly set of watercolour marks, this one for example here. I mean, that doesn't look like it's been done by a professional artist, does it? But you can pull everything together with that ink work and turn it into something that looks loose and expressive, and any of those little watercolour imperfections look deliberate. Couple of little tips for you when you're doing watercolour with ink. If you go the traditional route and you start with your ink outline drawing and you add a little bit of hatching and shading, just err on the side of adding too little hatching and shading than too much. If you do too much hatching, you don't have a lot of opportunity to add colour over the top because a lot of the white of the paper is covered by the black ink. So just be a little bit more conservative than you might otherwise be if you were just doing a pure pen drawing. Now, if you go down the less common route where you start with the watercolour first and you don't do any drawing, you effectively draw them with your paintbrush, my top tip is to remember that you are not painting a watercolour. Doesn't matter how your watercolour stage turns out, so be patient with yourself and don't judge things until you've added that pen work. And just to give you a bit of extra encouragement that it doesn't matter how your watercolour stage turns out, here's a couple of portraits that I did that are both now hanging on somebody's wall. And you can see the watercolour stage, they're not great at all. Definitely shows my limitations as a watercolourist. But from experience, I knew that when I added that ink work over the top, it would tie everything together and it would hide, or not even hide, it would embrace any imperfections and any of my limitations as a watercolour artist. I did do a full tutorial follow-along video a little while back here on YouTube where I paint this landscape of an old ruins and I start with those watercolour washes in exactly the way that I've described and then pull it together with the ink work. So you'll see a link in the top right of the video if you want to go and have a look at that after this one, and I'll also put a link to that in the description below. Okay, so that's mixed media combination number 1. Combination number 2 is one that I used for the first time just a few weeks ago, and that's combining ink pen and ink drawing with pastel pencil. This was one of the landscape projects that I took my students through, so this was a full follow-along project, and it was the first time that I'd ever used this combination of mediums, the pen with the pastel pencil, and it turned out okay, and it was surprisingly simple to use as well. The thing to remember with this combination is that you do have to do the ink drawing first, because ink won't sit on top of pastel, so you've got to do your ink drawing first and then lay your pastel colours over the top. And a tip here is that when you do your ink drawing, you probably want to go a little bit thicker. So your weight of line needs to be a little bit thicker than normal. And that's simply in anticipation that the pastel is going to cover quite a lot of that ink work. So maybe opt for a little bit of a thicker, larger nib with your ink pen. I use Sakura Pigma Micron pens, and for that boat on the beach study, I used a 05 nib. So it's one of the larger nibs. And then I just tried to make that weight of line a little bit heavier and stronger than normal. So this is a super simple palm tree study, very simple beach scene, and nice and easy to draw out, really quick to apply the colour as well. The sky turned out a little bit muddy. I think I pulled some of the other colours into the sky. Probably should have done that first, but hey, it's a quick sketch and I'm sure you'll let me off. Remember, you don't have to do tree studies. This is just an example. So I think pen and pastel pencil would work really well for some simple still life objects. So some colourful fruits, tomatoes, oranges, grapes, plums, nice bright vibrant colours, but where you can add the pen work to create that sketchy hatching feel and create some form and some depth to the objects before you add the colour over the top. So definitely one that I recommend you have a go at. On to combination number 3. So this is where we use watercolour and then apply coloured pencil over the top. So again, quite common this one, particularly with portraits. I've used it with portraits in the past and it works really, really well for that subject matter. But I think it would work well for pretty much any subject matter. Still life, landscapes, animals, florals, figure studies, pretty much anything you can think of. Now again, like option 1 where we used watercolour with ink, the key thing to remember here is that you're not trying to create an amazing watercolour painting. The watercolour washes act simply as an underlayer so that less of the white paper surface shows through when you apply coloured pencils. And here's the thing about coloured pencils as well that I think a lot of people overlook. So many people seem to just use them or think they're used for photorealism. This is what everybody teaches on YouTube, how to use colour pencils photorealistically, where they spend hours and hours rendering skin tones, animal fur, hair textures, lots and lots of layers, painstakingly building those layers up. And yes, coloured pencils are perfect for that. They are amazing for photorealism, but they're also great for looser and sketchier styles too. So this still life project, for example, that I took some students through recently. So if you're not using coloured pencils, if you haven't used coloured pencils for a looser, sketchier style and a much quicker style, I think you should definitely consider giving it a go. Now with those watercolour underlayers, it makes coloured pencils even quicker because you haven't got to cover all the white of the paper. As a rule of thumb, stick to 2, maximum of 3 layers of watercolour. So I'd start like I have in this little study with a very pale wash, let that dry, add a second wash over the top, a third one maximum, but 2 is probably all that you need, and then let it dry completely. It needs to be really, really bone dry. Use a hairdryer to speed that up, and then you can add your coloured pencil work over the top. Okay, so on to our 4th combination then, and this is where you can combine watercolour with pastel or pastel pencil. I haven't used this combination before. This is a first for me as I'm painting this little tree in here. So just laying down some watercolour washes, some simple colours, going for a slightly different colour scheme just to mix things up a little bit, more of an autumn colour, those yellows and oranges. A few little touches of green in as well. I've not wet the paper surface beforehand. I'm using drawing paper here, it's just a regular drawing sketchbook, so it's not going to take a lot of water without buckling too much, so that's why I've not wet the paper surface first. But a small area like this, it's still going to blend okay. I tried to be cool here and add a few little paint splashes. Never seems to work for me this. I either end up with little splatters everywhere or great big dollops of paint right where I don't want them. And then when the watercolour was completely dry, I added some pastel work over the top. Now out of the 6 studies, this is the one that I definitely like the least. Just turned out to be a little bit muddy and messy. Just didn't work for me. I probably didn't allow enough of the paper surface to show through, so it ended up just looking like one big blob. But the pastel does sit nicely on top of your watercolour, particularly if you've got a contrast in values. So you've got light watercolour washes underneath and you add some darker pastel colours over the top. It does grab on really, really nicely. And that would be even more so if I was using watercolour paper. So although this one didn't work out for me to my liking, it's definitely not something I would discount. And I am going to have a go at a portrait. Portraits are my thing. So I'm going to have a go with this combination, create a portrait and see how that one turns out.
So our fifth combination, and probably my favourite out of these little sketches, so this is where we combine an ink drawing pen and ink with coloured pencil. Like with that first example, the ink and the watercolour, you can go two directions here. You could start with the ink drawing, add some hatching and then the coloured pencil over the top, or you could probably start with your coloured pencil first and add ink on top of that. It will sit on top of the coloured pencil. I've opted here obviously for doing the ink work first and just drawing that tree shape out. A good rule of thumb here is to just look at the overall shape of the foliage, so the overall mass. Think about that. I didn't draw it out. I could have done with a pencil first, I suppose, but I'm just thinking about that overall mass of the tree shape, and then I'm using these really squiggly lines cutting in and out of the shape with these squiggly marks to give it a more foliage-like appearance. Within the bulk of that foliage, I'm looking for shadow areas, and I'm not going to get them exact, not in a quick sketch like this. I'm just looking for the general patterns made by those shadows. Now, when I draw and sketch, I spend most of my time with my eyes squinted. So I'm defocusing my eyes. That allows me to see the big areas of shadow. It allows me to see those shapes because it removes a lot of the detail. So squinting your eyes is a really good tip for sketching, particularly when it's a quicker sketch. You haven't got time to start looking backwards and forwards at all the intricate details. Defocus those eyes and you'll start to see the bigger shapes more quickly. And then I'm just putting the trunk in, looking at some of the negative shapes, so the empty spaces between the tree trunk, a little bit of hatching and a few marks underneath the tree just to plant it in place, and then a bit of a background as well for the sea and the beach. And then I've just added some vertical hatch marks just within those shadow shapes. Again, not going overboard. I'm not doing cross hatching. I don't want too much ink on the paper. I want that white to show through so that I can add some colour with the coloured pencil. And then general rule with colour pencils is to start with your lightest colours first and then gradually build up those darker colours. So I've gone in with the yellow, added some greens over the top and then some darker greens and then a few little browns, and I added a few purples as well onto that tree trunk just to mix things up a little bit. I really like this style. Again, it's not a combination I've used before. It's one that I'll definitely be using in the future. Portrait, animal study maybe, or I think this would work quite well for a still life, maybe a more contemporary still life like a pair of sneakers or something, a pair of Converse. This is one that I did for Faber-Castell, asked me to do this for a box of their pencils. So I think something like this would work really well with ink and colour pencil. And then finally, we don't always have to use colour. So here I'm going to be combining two monochromatic black and white mediums. I'm going to start with a pen just to create the outline and add a little bit of hatching, a few of the more obvious cracks and fissures in the tree trunk, some of the more prominent details, and then I'm going to use graphite pencil to add some shading and some tone. And if you're interested in doing this last one in a bit more detail, a bit of a larger drawing, I do have a video on the channel that I did a little while back now on tree drawing. So I'll put a link to that one in the description. If you've not seen that, you can have a little go of that. But you can see that monochromatic style definitely creates a very different feel and atmosphere. It's a lot more dramatic. It's a little bit darker, a stark contrast to that dreamy pink tree with the colour pencils and watercolour just above it.
The key to playing about with these different combos and different materials is to stick to small and quick sketchbook studies. That way, if you mess things up, it doesn't matter, you haven't wasted a whole bunch of time. And it's why I'm always going on to my students to work in their sketchbook and not just aim for these big masterpieces where they've invested hours and hours of time. Because when you do those, they're great for your portfolio, obviously great for commissions, but you're not going to allow yourself to experiment and fail. There's too much at stake. And it's the failed experiments that we learn the most from and that help us improve the quickest. So take all the pressure off and stick to those quick, short studies in your sketchbook. All right, so let me know in the comments of any other mixed media combinations that maybe you've tried that you think work particularly well and that we can all benefit from. Obviously, I've stuck to the drawing mediums predominantly. If you add things like acrylics and 3D media into the mix, well, the world's your oyster. You could go on forever. All right, thanks for watching, friends. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.